Now that year-end countdowns have been completed, it's time to start looking forward. What music will dominate our playlists, CD players, and turntables in 2019? It's time once again for our New Year music preview, coming up next on Track by Track. Hey everybody, my name's Kyle and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. Thanks for tuning in today, and if this is your first time here, please take a second to click subscribe so that you won't miss future reviews and more. Well, if 2019 shapes up to be anything like 2018, the best word to describe it may be unpredictable. Some of the best music of the past year came from artists most of us had never heard of, and music we expected to hear from some of our favorites never actually showed up. So for this 2019 music preview, I'm going to separate things into three categories. There's the music we know we'll see, the stuff that's been announced already with release dates or at least a general 2019 time frame. Then there's the music that we expect to see. This is the stuff we're pretty sure will come out in 2019, even if it hasn't officially been announced yet. And finally, there's the stuff we hope we'll see. This is pure speculation now. Music from acts that are maybe due or overdue for new releases, or maybe we've heard rumors that they're getting ready to release something. These are the acts we're crossing our fingers for in 2019. Alright, so let's start with the music we know we'll see in the new year. There's not a ton of 2019 release dates announced just yet, but there are a handful of artists on my radar with albums officially on the calendar. Juliana Hatfield will be one of the first out of the gate in the new year. Her follow-up to last year's Olivia Newton-John tribute album is a collection of new music entitled Weird, and it arrives on January 18th. Then in February, I'll be looking forward to the new solo album from Bob Mould. His cheerily titled Sunshine Rock drops on February 8th. That same day, we'll see the beginning of a Prince reissue campaign with CD and vinyl re-releases of 3 albums, 3121, Planet Earth, and Musicology. Looking ahead into March, we'll see music from one of Canada's biggest rock artists of all time. Bryan Adams will follow up his work on the Pretty Woman Broadway musical with a new rock album entitled Shine a Light. That drops on March 1st and will likely be yet another top 10 album for Adams in Canada. He hasn't had a hit record in the US for over 20 years, but he still charts very well up north. That same day, we'll also see new music from Weezer. They're coming off a truly odd year, really. Rather than seeing their most recent album, Pacific Daydream, make a big impact, it was their covers of 80s hits Africa and Rosanna by Toto that got everyone's attention. Will the Black Album be more of a return to form for the band? And finally, closing out the month of March is the 6th studio album from edgy dream pop singer-songwriter Lana Del Rey. Judging from her past releases, it's probably safe to say the songs on Norman fucking Rockwell will likely be as provocative as the album's title. 1 week later, New Order will release what they're calling the definitive edition of their first album. The 2-CD, 2-LP box set for Movement contains the original album plus demos and other rare tracks, and it's scheduled for release on April 5th. Looking ahead in the year, there's not a ton of other noteworthy release dates announced yet, but we do at least have album commitments from a few more artists. We recently heard a couple new songs from Jack White's group The Raconteurs, with a full album promised from them in the new year. Also promising new music in the new year are 2 very big and very different rock acts. 2019 will be a big year for fans of The Cure. They'll be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the spring, and then later plan to release their first album of new music in over 10 years. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And finally, Bruce Springsteen has made it his New Year's resolution to put out new music in 2019. After wrapping up his hit Broadway show in December, the boss says he's planning to get back to the studio to wrap up a new album. We actually originally expected to hear new music from him in 2018, as he'd reportedly already put a lot of work into his follow-up to 2014's High Hopes. I even talked about it in my 2018 preview video, but the man himself says 2019 will officially be the year. Alright, so with that, let's move on to the music we expect to see in 2019. We're not 100% sure on these, but it's a pretty safe bet we're going to see new albums from each of these acts, starting with yet another artist I originally included on my 2018 preview. By all indications, Vampire Weekend is finally done with their fourth studio album, the long-awaited follow-up to 2013's Modern Vampires of the City. The group played several festivals in 2018 and even previewed new music to lucky fans at a few events. There's no official announcement yet, but I'm pretty sure this will finally be the year the Vampires return. And probably sooner than later. Another act I'm expecting new music from very, very soon is one of my favorite artists, Ryan Adams. Always a highly prolific singer-songwriter, I was really surprised when no new Ryan Adams album appeared in 2018. But we do know he spent time in the studio in the latter part of the year and shared his progress in a series of Instagram posts. If I was a betting man, I'd say we'll see something from him by March. Also looking to put out new music in 2019 is big 80s rockers Tears for Fears. The band had hoped to get an album out in 2018, coinciding with their co-headlining tour with Hall & Oates. Instead, they put out a new greatest hits collection featuring just one new track. Hopefully 2019 will see even more new music from the duo, who haven't released a full album in 14 years. Also contemplating a 2019 release date is the all-female punk/indie rock group Sleater-Kinney. They ended a 10-year break to release No Cities to Love in 2015, which was certainly one of the best albums of that year. The band claimed to be working on a follow-up in early 2018 with a plan to release new music the following year. No official word on that yet, but some kind of announcement may be imminent. Stay tuned for that. Of course, 2019 is also sure to be full of a lot of great reissues and deluxe editions from some of our favorite artists. There's a few of those that, while they may not yet be announced, are pretty much a sure thing. For example, I'm pretty sure we'll see Volume 7 in the Miles Davis bootleg series show up at some point in the spring. Volume 6 came in March of 2018, so I'd say we're due for a new installment. Speaking of bootlegs, you can also be sure we'll see another entry in Bob Dylan's long-running bootleg series in 2019. In all likelihood, that'll be a large, expansive, multi-disc box set paired with a smaller 1 or 2 disc version for budget-conscious fans. There's plenty of speculation on what that next installment will contain, with Dylan's Johnny Cash duets being a popular theory, as well as unreleased tracks from his Time Out of Mind era. Whenever the official announcement comes, I'll be sure to share the details with you here. 2019 is also certain to be yet another big year for Beatles fans. It's the 50th anniversary of Abbey Road, so some kind of super deluxe edition of that album is likely to be on the schedule in the fall. We're also certain to see Paul McCartney continue his Archive Collection series in 2019. No word on that yet, but I'm guessing that the next albums to be revisited will be London Town and Back to the Egg. Look for those, or something else, in the second half of the year. All right, finally, let's talk about the music we hope we'll hear in 2019. Obviously, that could be a long, long wish list, so I'm going to try to focus on the acts I think we have the best chances of hearing from at some point in the new year. Leading off that list is Guns N' Roses. Following a successful reunion tour and a huge deluxe reissue of Appetite for Destruction, we're hearing reports that the group is actually working together on new music. Will it actually happen in 2019? Hard to say. Of course, a reunion used to seem impossible as well, so it could happen. Another artist we're still waiting on for new music is Liz Phair. We know she spent some time in the studio in 2017 and supposedly recorded enough music for a double album, but in 2018 she instead released a deluxe 3-disc edition of her seminal album Exile in Guyville. Now, with that out of the way and her accompanying tour concluded, I think she's more than whetted fans' appetites for new music. Of course, live albums are always part of the mix during any given year. In 2019, you can probably count on seeing the Rolling Stones continue their From the Vault series of live CD and DVD combo sets. I'll also predict that later in the year, we'll see a new live album and video from Queen and Adam Lambert. They're set to have one of the hottest tours of the summer following the success of the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, so I'm sure they'll want to get that recorded to capitalize on demand. I'd also guess that we'll see a live album and video release from Roger Waters, who's just concluded his Us and Them World Tour. Speaking of Roger Waters, 2019 will also be the 40th anniversary of Pink Floyd The Wall. It seems natural that we'd see some kind of release to recognize that. The problem is, I'm not sure if there's any unreleased material that they could use for a special edition. The Immersion box set that came out in 2012 was already pretty comprehensive. The most noteworthy missing bricks were a video release of the original concert performances and a surround sound mix of the album. So we may see something come out for the Big 4-0, but it may not have anything new for the die-hard fans. Finally, I'll speculate on new releases from a few rockers we actually lost over the past several years. 2019 will likely see the release of the final studio recordings by the Cranberries to feature singer Dolores O'Riordan, who died barely a year ago. We're also likely to see more unreleased material by the late, great Tom Petty. There's been a Wildflowers deluxe edition in the works since before Petty passed, and I think we'll probably see that released in the new year. And earlier, of course, I mentioned Prince. We already know we're going to see a few of his late period albums reissued in the spring. I'd bet we'll see at least one more wave of reissues before the year ends. But I think we'll also see some kind of vault release as well. 2018 gave us Piano and a Microphone 1983, and I think we can expect more releases like that in the new year. We also know there's some high-profile artists working with some of Prince's unfinished recordings with an eye toward putting out a quote-unquote new Prince album in the near future. I'm a bit skeptical about how that might sound, but it's Prince, so we'll see. So there you go, there's just some of the music that's on my radar for 2019. But as I said before, some of the best music of the year may very well be from acts we haven't even heard of yet. And as always, we're bound to be surprised by what we do hear and what we don't hear from some of our favorite artists. But now you tell me, what music are you looking most forward to in 2019? Are there any acts that you think are long overdue for a new album? Or are there any classics that you'd like to see get the deluxe edition treatment? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Plus, check out some of these other videos below that I think you might also enjoy. And of course, be sure to subscribe, because true music fans always want new releases the day they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.